started off here with Ball State taking on Kent State. Kent State opened 5-point home favorites here, all the way up to 6.5 now in this game, 62 the total in this one. Kent State, an undefeated 3-0 home record this year, but only 3-5 straight up and 3-5 against the spread. So, which tells you that they're actually this year winless on the road in terms of ATS and straight up this year, Kent State. But they are at home here in this game. They're off a 33-27 victory against Akron. This is a game where both teams did not obviously play last week or on Saturday, knowing that they're playing on this early week game on Tuesday night. As far as Kent State goes, look, I don't really love what I've seen out of their defense at times this year. They've been gashed. Miami they give up 27 in a loss to an Akron team that's not exactly the best offense in this conference by far. They still give up 27 points in that game. And Kent State, keep in mind, too, they had a different player at quarterback for them, not Colin Schlee last week in the game against Akron. Rather, it was Devin Cardman. And he wasn't really all that sharp. 14 of 25, 213 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now, we've seen some heavy line move toward Kent State. Betting market's not thrilled with Ball State, although I will say Ball State's won 3 of their last 4 games. You look at ever since their results this year, since the blowout loss they suffered against Tennessee, a 7-point loss at home to Western Michigan. They lost by 11 against Georgia Southern, 34-23. Georgia Southern's having a pretty solid year. They get into MAC play. They beat Northern Illinois outright as underdogs, 44-38. Beat Central Michigan outright as underdogs, 17-16. And in fact, you look at them in MAC play as underdogs, 2-1 ATS and straight up this year. The only loss was that Western Michigan game, and they lost it by 7. So, this is a team that defensively, I actually think they've played okay. I think this is actually a team that's one of the teams that has played some defense here in this conference. John Paddock, the quarterback's a little erratic. They do have a solid ground game led by Carson Steele. To me, if this number hits 7, I think it's gone to the point where it's just too many points to be laying here with Kent State. And keep in mind, Ball State can throw the ball at least a little bit. Again, Paddock's had some issues with interceptions at times, but he does have a decent arm. And Kent State, their secondary, among the worst in college football, 125th in the country here. So you look at that matchup, it's one Ball State could take advantage of. Kent State is a much heavier running team this year. They've not thrown it quite as well. They don't have Dustin Crum. The passing game has kind of not been nearly as good without him, but they've been able to run the ball, and Ball State has really had a tough time stopping the run. So this could be a high-scoring affair. I would lean to the over as well. But if the line keeps climbing, Ball State becomes more and more appealing to me the more they're getting closer to the 6.5, 7 in this game. Connor Mack, what do you think?
Yeah, Maction is back. He talked about Halloween. I'm scary enough, so no need for a mask or anything like that on Halloween.
We look ghastly and ghouly as it is, exactly.
Yeah, no shit. Let's get right to it here. You know what? There's just no way with this defense, even at home, Kent State should be laying this number. Just no. I hope it gets to 7. I mean, I just couldn't believe it if it does. Ball State, Paddock, he hasn't been very good, but Ball State has the better defense, and they've owned him in this series. Ball State, is kind of beat up on Kent State the last 5 years or so. So I was shocked this is going the other way. I'd love it for a touch 7. You mentioned it, even the losses have been close, and they've won 3 of 4. So I'm a little perplexed in this. Like we talked about, I know they can run it. Paddock isn't the best, but he doesn't have to be. I think they have the better defense. So, yeah, give me the points here. Total is high, obviously, with Kent State's bad defense. Ball State, more of an under team, but can play to an over. So this will be interesting. I haven't one that just gets into this in easily 30s and 40s and it'll go over easy. Or this one could be a little low scoring. So watch this total as the week goes on. I'll be watching it for sure.
Yeah, this game, obviously, Tuesday night. It just seems like it's a good fit for the two offenses. You've got a passing game in Ball State against a weak Kent secondary. And then for Kent, they run the football way more than throwing it this year. And Ball State's been bad against the run. And Marquez Cooper, the running back for Kent State, I mean, the last few weeks, I'm looking at some of his numbers. 137 rushing yards against Akron, 166 against Toledo. And Toledo's not a bad football team, 240 against Ohio. If you can find some props on this game, if there are books that post player props for this game, not all books do when it comes to MAC games, But man, if you could get on Marquez Cooper over rushing yards, my goodness, that's probably a damn good bet in this game, quite honestly.
I think it is. And you know where I think they'll have it? Probably day of. It's shout out to Prize Picks. You got to double up there, but they'll probably have that prop. So, and get there, put the hundo, they'll match you a hundo. Post Sports Radio. Boom.